What's up, people? My name's Anthony, and welcome back to the What's on Your Mind podcast. It's been a minute. It's definitely been a minute. If anything sounds different at all, it's because I'm back at Michigan State for the week. I'm in a journalism program for the next about 4 or 5 days, to where I'm pretty much an overnight counselor for the kids that are doing classes in the program and just watching them, making sure they go to bed safe and everything, make sure they got lights out at a certain time, and etc. But it sounds pretty quiet in the room. It's a bigger room and it sounds pretty quiet. So hopefully nothing is too different audio wise. But yeah, I really missed the podcast. I really missed talking to you guys. And people have been messaging me saying, hey, is everything okay? Are you going to be recording more podcast episodes soon? And I appreciate those who reached out. And at the same, I'm going to tell you guys who are listening now, it's been a pretty hard summer, I'm not going to lie. And recently, just the reason why I haven't posted any more episodes is that the whole podcast is surrendered and centered around what's on my mind and what I'm thinking about. And some of that, not even some of that, a lot of that just hasn't been good. The things on my mind haven't really been good, and I haven't been in the best headspace. So it's not exactly the type of content I want to put out. But I'm in a better headspace now to where I'm able to record episodes, and we're here. So I appreciate y'all sticking with me, reaching out for more episodes, and yeah. So this episode, as you see by the title, I personally feel is really important. I feel all my episodes I record and publish are important, but this one really deserves its own focus and its own episode. Like, this thought deserves its own episode. Adaptation. Adapting to your surroundings. Becoming more normal with accepting certain things and not accepting certain things. You always hear in certain communities, especially more on the negative versions of those communities, such as the toxicity deeply rooted in Black people, where, oh, we did this back in the day. This is how things ran. Kids nowadays don't got respect. If it was me who said this, et cetera, et cetera. And what's scary to realize is that some of our elders, not older people, but just the generation before us, they act based on only how they know. And to be honest, that's not a problem. In my personal opinion, that's not a problem. The problem arises when they use certain methods or certain experiences or say certain things that may have quote unquote been acceptable back then, and then express those ideas now. Like, we were in church. I was in church one time, and it got on the topic of like kids and discipline or whatever. And someone in the church said, yeah, back in my day, my mom used to throw chairs at us or beat us with extension cords or slap us across the face. That's a really common one. Like, oh, back in my day, our mom would have slapped us in the face and called us out our name if we did this. And I remember my mom had said something like that specifically, and I laughed and asked her, like, or I didn't ask, I said, like, it's not necessarily okay. Like, that sounds like abuse. And many Black parents or older individuals would say, like, oh, well, I mean, we turned out okay. I mean, that's what y'all missing nowadays. Like, y'all, somebody close to me had said the other day, like, man, y'all generation is crazy. And I laughed just because every generation says that about the generation prior to them. And it's just so funny that every generation seems to criticize the next or the past, and things are different nowadays. And what's more sad is just the things of this world that are still present in 2022, mainly homophobia and racism, don't seem like they're going anywhere, sadly. And I was talking with somebody previously just on how certain Christians act towards other people. And I'm going to save this portion of this podcast for a whole nother episode. Like, this is going to get on its whole own episode, but it just amazes me, and the person I was talking to in a bad way, just seeing how they still try and use older methods to live in present day. Like, a lot of Christians say, like, oh, this gay thing or this gay agenda. Some always try to make it seem like a gay agenda, or just like a push of, oh, they're trying to make this mainstream now, or etc. And it's 2022. Like, people have said that, oh, we used to beat people up back in the day if they came out gay. Like, that junk, not, like, that's weird. Like, it's so saddening and heartbreaking to hear that, even as a straight male, just because there's no reason why you should put so much focus on something you don't like. Like, let's say you homophobic, you racist, whatever, fine. Nobody can force you to change your mind. The issue just becomes when it's so vocalized and people are literally going to pride parades, holding signs saying y'all going to hell. Like, it just comes off so weird. That's why when Lil Nas X did the video where he was like dancing with the devil, that's why when it first came, I actually liked the song, but just as the music video, as a Christian, I considered it a work of art. And some people, especially some Christians, slid up like, you think this is a work of art? Like, my parents hate him now. Like, they don't want him even played in their house. And it's so crazy because he made his point. Exactly what he did. He did what he did in that music video for the people who have a problem with being gay, just to the point of you're going to lash out at them and say you're going to go to hell. And it's so ironic that as Christians, we're supposed to be very loving, but the second we see something the second they see something they consider unworthy, they banish them. And the Bible makes a great point. Christians make a great point that they always tend to twist to their own liking, but they say to come as you are, but to not stay how you are. And most of the time when they say that, they're referring to clothing, how you may come in church, because that's another issue to some Christians' eyes. If you come in a dress certain way, they're going to look at you a certain way. And it's so ironic that they use that statement, flexible, to however they may deem it correct. But the main importance people seem to lack is growth, right? Kendrick Lamar dropped his most recent album, Mr. Morale and Big Steppers. So listen to it if you haven't. And he did something controversial that I'm personally 50-50 with. He used the F slur in one of his songs. And the point of him using it was to point out how back in the day it was cool. Back when he was growing up, you just used it as a regular curse word or just called people that whenever you wanted to as a little kid. And the point he was making in the song is that that's not okay anymore, that I'm not that person anymore, and I've grown from that, and you should grow from that as well. You shouldn't be using those types of words no more. And in theory, it's a good message, but the problem people, a part of the LGBTQ community, had was that, why did you use the word? Like, it takes away your whole point you made by using the word. And he used it multiple times in the song. And I personally agree with that statement, just because I feel there are ways to make that point without using the word. Because it's a great message, and I agree with that part. There's no way you should be referring to people a part of that community as such, or really anybody, just because that's rude, that's disrespectful, and it's not cool to disrespect people just because you don't like them. But at the same time, there's no point for you. You take away the entire point you made by using it multiple times. It's like, it reminds me of a white person, a white artist. His name is Adam Calhoun. And he made a song, I think a few years ago now, pretty much using the N-word And his point in the song, if I'm not mistaken, was we shouldn't be like this word and other things that are in each race of white and black are used to separate us. And we shouldn't be so separated between races. And again, great point, fine, but there's no reason for you to use that word as a white American, in my personal opinion. And there were other white Americans defending him and agreeing with him, saying there are even some black YouTube channels and reactors saying, y'all really gonna let a word take away the message that he's making? And the point that I personally feel they're missing is just the whole message that you may spread is to adapt and to change and become better. But when you go back to the ways that you're claiming you changed from, it's kind of redundant. And it shouldn't be, but that's all politics. Some people feel you shouldn't use this word. And if you use it, nobody should use it. That's not for this specific episode. The main importance, just like it says in the title, is to understand the importance of change and stability. I talked in a previous episode about, can people change? And a lot of the response I got from the people who I asked and from my own personal thoughts is that yes, people can change, but they have to have a want for change. But it doesn't just stop at changing. You have to be able to officially, genuinely change and don't go back to the person you were. People who, for example, recover from addiction, whether that be weed, nicotine, drinking, etc. Anytime I interact with someone who expresses like, hey, I'm practicing and I'm working on getting through this, I always encourage them, and I never discourage them when they fall back on it. Like, hey, had a relapse, but I'm going to restart. Because wanting change and actually changing and putting that effort to improve is not easy. It's not easy at all. And it takes consistency and it takes a lot of dedication. And once you truly want it, that's majority of the battle. Now you just have to be able to work towards that change and stay in that better position. And as time goes on, there are obviously going to be things we don't like of people. There are going to be things we don't agree with. Like I've also said in a previous episode, having a different opinion is okay. It's perfectly fine to not agree with everything. But there's no point to bash another person based on how they may feel, or if they live a lifestyle you don't live, then ridicule them. It's actually going to be another episode I might publish right after this. I don't know if it's going to be the next or next couple episodes. I might post 3 at a time since I'm getting back into making episodes. But it's one thing to claim you're going to change, and it's one thing to genuinely want it for yourself and change as a person, because nobody is perfect. I'm certainly not perfect. Nobody listening to this is perfect. And I personally feel nobody should strive to be perfect. What we can do as humans is just become better and strive to be the best version of ourselves, whether that be being more confident in ourselves, being more decisive in making decisions, whatever you may feel you need to improve on, work towards that. And that ultimately makes you a better person, wanting to become better and working to become better and letting go of old ideals that may have been deemed standard and truly expressing the new you. That's all for this episode. I really, really appreciate the people who listen and the people who message me saying and talk to me and just say that I'm good at what I do. And it means a lot that I can help people and improve their day. Like, I do this podcast, one, because I would rather not be crazy just talking to myself when I'm thinking about something, but also to vocalize ideas that other people may be thinking about. It's not always as easy to express your ideas or to talk about the things that are on your mind. And by me doing this, I want to give a light to those thoughts that may not always be able to have a space to come out, and create a thinking space for listeners to be able to hear maybe a different perspective or a similar perspective to something you may be thinking about, and just have a better understanding of a thought that you may have not been able to express. So I really appreciate you all, and hopefully you guys tune back into another episode.